Kansas City's first black female firefighter, dies at age 73. Carolyn Mitchell, Kansas City's first black female firefighter and trailblazer who opened doors for women in the male-dominated profession, has died, the Kansas City Fire Department announced on social media Tuesday. She was 73 years old. Mitchell and Anwito were among the first female firefighters to begin with the Kansas City Fire Department's Academy in 1977, Division Chief Krista Harris, the department's Diversity and Equity Officer, said in a letter to women in the department. Carolyn showed extraordinary resilience and determination, creating a legacy that makes KCFD a place where women can thrive, Harris said. Kansas City Mayor Quinton Lucas was saddened to learn of Mitchell's death. He called her a true pioneer who transformed the Kansas City Fire Department. She was more than a firefighter, she broke down significant barriers for women of color in public service as the first black female captain at KCFD at one of the first female firefighters in our community, Lucas said. Kansas City celebrates Carolyn's life of service, courage, and achievement. Her legacy continues to inspire firefighters and public servants in our community for generations to come. During her career, Mitchell rose through the ranks. She earned a promotion to fire apparatus operator, a firefighter who drives and operates a fire truck, and made history again by becoming the department's first black female captain. According to her obituary, she became an instructor at the Fire Department's Training Academy, where she trained other firefighters in handling and operating equipment. She also served on the department's Negotiations Committee, Human Relations Committee, Recruitment Task Force Team, Sexual Harassment Committee and Unity and Diversity Strategy Team. Carolyn and Anwito paved the way for women in the KCFD, carving a path in a male-dominated profession, Harris said. As we continue to advocate for improvements like gender-neutral bathrooms, private bunk rooms, and women's cut bunker gear, we honor the challenges and sacrifices they endured. James Garrett, a former deputy chief with the Kansas City Fire Department, said a big part of her legacy is being the first black woman to make captain. Mitchell was a good person, he said, and she was always a mentor to women and minorities who joined the fire department. Being a woman who had rank and having to suffer the harassment and the discrimination she had to suffer, she was real instrumental in taking different women and women of color up under her wings and kind of showing them how to maneuver in a very racist environment, Garrett said. She showed women and black firefighters how to conduct themselves and what they needed to do to advance in their careers, he said. Mitchell was key in helping women and minorities navigate a predominantly white male-dominated culture, one that was not their own, Garrett said. A 2020 investigation by the Star found that black and women firefighters faced discrimination and harassment in the Kansas City Fire Department, leaving them ostracized, put in danger, shut out of the most desirable posts and passed over for promotions. Seeing women and minorities advance was just a Carolyn Mitchell thing, Garrett said. It was just in her heart to really see people excel and really see people, especially women, be in places that they have heretofore not been in and heretofore have not been respected in, he said. Battalion Chief Michael Hopkins, a spokesman for the fire department, added, while Captain Mitchell was a trailblazer on KCFD, that onus is now us to continue her efforts and ensure that while she may have been the first, she will not be the last. That through our DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and recruiting efforts we ensure that the path she created is walked by many for generations to come. While there is still work to be done, programs like Catching Fury and Camp Fury, designed to inspire teenage girls to a career as first responders, are only possible because of those women who came before, like Mitchell, Hopkins said. Services for Mitchell will be held Wednesday beginning with visitation at 10 a.m. at Mount Moriah, Newcomer, and Freeman Memorial Home, 1050 Holmes Road. Services will follow at 11 a.m.
And may all your Christmases be white.
Some retailers, though, on the other side, turning to tech, right? All in the midst of this turbulent time for the industry. As Amazon opened up its next generation fulfillment center in Shreveport, Louisiana in September, this is now the first holiday period where the company has the center in full operation. The new fulfillment center has 10 times more in that project. Vice President on Amazon's global operations team, Sarah Rhodes. Great to have you here, and you're a veteran of a Navy, so thank you for your service. Talk to us about this robot plan. How does it work?
Yeah, well, thank you, first of all, Taylor, for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to talk about our new technology and our newest fulfillment center that we just launched a couple months ago. I actually had the opportunity to be down there in person a few weeks ago to see all of this new technology that includes AI, automation, robotics. The facility itself is really a glimpse into what the future of our operations looks like. It's 3 million square feet. Think of 55 football fields.
Wow.
So it's large.
55 football
Yes, yes, just to put it into context.
Which is why you have to be in Louisiana and not New York City, because they have the space.
They definitely have the space. It is 5 stories. So we have different types of technology. An example of that is a robotic drive called Proteus. So it's autonomous. It can move carts from one point to another. Another is robotic arms, and they can move packages from one point to another. So it really helps to eliminate repetitive motion, makes for a safer work environment. Despite all of the automation, we still have jobs for up to 2,500 employees in the
That's where I
Shreveport
want to
area.
go on,
Yes.
because a lot of people look at this and they push back and they say automation is great except the robot's taking my job. What do you say to those people?
Well, like I mentioned, in this one site alone, we have 2,500 jobs available. 30% of those jobs, though, are more technical than jobs that we've had in the past. And so we do have opportunities for employees who would like to upskill their expertise through different programs we have, such as Career Choice. They can get that technical expertise to help maintain the robots and the automation that is very critical to ensure that the operation continues.
How much of this is a productivity play as well? A robot can go 24/7 and I need a nap, right? So how much of this is a robot can go on and just, it's more productive than me as a person?
Well, it's certainly a balance, and our operations, even without automation, we run primarily 2 shifts across most of our sites, across 7 days a week. And, you know, like I mentioned, it still takes people to maintain the automation, the robotics. So it's definitely a good balance that we have.
Do you guys have more sites planned for this, quote, next-gen fulfillment center?
Like I mentioned, this is the future of our next sites, so the short answer is yes, and we are looking at retrofitting some of this technology into existing sites as well.
Talk to me more about the workers, right? So are you hiring down there? Does Louisiana, when you think about opening up down there, do they give you guys incentives? Are they helping partner with you with local universities to get employees in the doors so that you have a good workforce down in Louisiana? How do you think about drawing in that workforce? As that really is a lot of people's concerns when it comes to robots.
Well, we do have operations across the country. In fact, in the U.S., we have over 750,000 employees across the states, of course. And so we are very humbly proud to be a great employer in these communities. We offer fantastic pay, amazing benefits. In fact, an employee who starts today has the same exact health benefits as I do after being with Amazon nearly 14 years. And then we think about all the career opportunities, growth opportunities that are available across the country within our fulfillment centers and operations as well.
You talk a lot about robots and AI, but you're also thinking about delivering packages with electric vehicles.
Yes.
Right? How does that work?
Well, first of all, as of today, I'm really excited to let folks know that we have over 20,000 electric Rivian vehicles on the road in the U.S. So we're really continuing to lean in on electric vehicles. That's a big part of our operation, and we look forward to continuing to leaning in on that technology.
And I think our audience knows this, but for those who don't, Amazon is one of the larger investors in Rivian.
Correct.
Am I right?
Correct.
So is it autonomous driving, or do I need a driver in that Rivian car?
We still need a driver in the Rivian right now, yes.
The technology is still catching up with us a little bit. What's hot right now that people are buying?
Well, you think about everyday essentials. You know, we have sales right now going on across all of our different categories. So, you know, there are all sorts of different, whatever somebody's looking for, it's going to be available on our website. So just take a look, and we likely have it for you.
Robots included?
Robots included, yeah, take a look.
I want to take a moment to talk about your background. You're an incredible person. We've talked a lot about the business and robots and AI, and that's really fun and glamour and glitzy. But you were a former U.S. Navy pilot. How did you transition from that into working at Amazon?
Well, it was definitely a tough choice. I was able to achieve a childhood dream of flying fighter jets in the U.S. Navy. But as I decided what my next career step was going to be, Amazon kind of found me, and I just saw a lot of amazing opportunity with the ability to work with large teams of people, the ability to do something different every day, and the ability to be challenged in a positive way. And all 3 of those things I still experience today, just like I did on day 1 and just like I did in the Navy.
Well said. Well, we thank you for your service, and thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Okay, Donald Trump. I say, meet your next president.
Federal employees have something new to worry about here in Washington. Elon Musk, who was selected by Donald Trump to find areas to cut in the government, is going after individual workers in a very public way, shaming them before his legions of followers on X. Last week, Musk singled out federal workers on his social media platform that's become a tool of the MAGA movement. CNN media correspondent Hadass Gold joins me now. Hadass, I mean, this obviously has the potential to get very disturbing very quickly. What can you tell us?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is bipartisan support, even amongst some federal workers, to try and streamline and make the government more efficient. And federal employees are aware that there's likely going to be a lot of job cuts. But this is something that's really scaring them. And that is that Elon Musk reposted several posts from other users that revealed the private names of 4 women who are working in climate-related jobs in the government. Now, one of the posts says, I don't think the U.S. taxpayer should pay for the employment of a director of climate diversification. Musk then reposted that post and said, so many fake jobs. Now, the information that was posted is from a publicly available database on government employees, and it does not reveal phone numbers or addresses or anything like that. But these people who were revealed, these are otherwise sort of relatively unknown government employees. None of them have public-facing jobs as spokespeople or anything like that. So by the richest man in the world, close confidant of the president-elect, essentially putting their names on blast, for many federal employees, this really scares them that Elon Musk's legions of fans will now be going after them personally, because he has done this before to other people who he feels are standing in his way. And those people have had death threats. They've had to leave their homes. They've been fearful for their lives as a result of being targeted by Elon Musk. Now, the union that represents federal workers has put out a statement, and they say that these tactics are aimed at sowing terror and fear at federal employees. They say it's intended to make them fearful that they will become afraid to speak up. And Jim, something really interesting, I actually reached out to some experts on cyber harassment, online abuse, trying to get sort of their take on this. Jim, I had several of them refuse to speak to me on the record, and these are, you know, academics, experts, things like that, because they themselves were fearful of becoming a target of Elon Musk themselves. Now, we did reach out to Vivek Ramaswamy, who is also part of this effort, this Department of Government Efficiency, and he didn't speak directly to whether it was appropriate to single out these individuals, but he did say our opponent is not any particular individual, our opponent is the bureaucracy. And I will also add that we did try to reach out to Elon Musk via the press office, but they did not reply to our request for comment.
All right, Hadass Gold, thank you very much. Let's talk more about this. I want to bring in CNN political commentators Maria Cardona, a Democratic strategist, and Shermichael Singleton, a Republican strategist. Shermichael, should Elon Musk be going after individual federal workers on his social media platform this way? Isn't this cyberbullying?
Well, look, I mean, the reporter just said that it was doxing. I don't know if I would describe it that way. I mean, doxing is publishing private information, which the previous reporter you just had on also acknowledged that. I wouldn't go this route, though. I mean, I think you can fulfill your objective by removing many of these offices, closing down various departments if your goal, without necessarily naming people. I just don't think that that's useful, Jim. I mean, these people are probably already scared as hell that they're probably going to lose their jobs at some point. Focus on the goal, downsize when necessary. Don't put people's private, public names out there.
Yeah, Maria, isn't this sort of trying to create a climate of fear here in Washington?
Yeah, it's absolutely grotesque and disgusting, and it shouldn't be allowed. Jim, this is the type of behavior that if our children engaged in this, and when they do, if, you know, like in high school or junior high or, you know, middle school, you have a meeting with their teachers and their principals, and there is a punishment that is there for kids who engage in this type of bullying behavior.
Elon Musk is being a mean girl?
Exactly. And you know what that comes from? Insecurity. What is he insecure about? There are ways to do what he and Vivek Ramaswamy and Donald Trump want to do in terms of refining the federal government, you know, taking away the kinds of jobs that they say are a waste. This is not how you do that, right? This is not how you go about making the government more efficient. This is how you go about injecting fear and, frankly, provoking violence against these workers who, you know, Jim, as you know, I worked in the federal government during the Clinton administration, and I worked with so many public servants who were incredibly committed, and all they wanted to do was their job.
Yeah, and I do want to talk a little bit more about some of these picks, Shermichael. Trump's pick for director of the Domestic Policy Council. I mean, these are sometimes some of these we don't talk about quite as much, but Vince Haley, part of the Trump team. He was a proponent of the fake electors scheme after the 2020 election. And we can put this up on screen. This is according to the January 6th committee and some reporting we did here at CNN. He was circulating this idea that you could have state legislators, fake electors, and he at one point wrote in a text, "We should boldly assert that state legislators have the constitutional right to substitute their judgment for a certified majority of their constituents." I mean, Shermichael, are you worried about some of the people who are coming into some very important roles in the new Trump administration?
No, I'm not. When you win elections, you have the obligation to choose who you want. I mean, no one's thinking about what happened 4 years ago. Where people are thinking about the present and they're thinking about the future, Jim. And when you win the election, just like when Joe Biden won, Joe Biden was able to choose whoever the heck he wanted. I didn't like all of the people. Many Republicans didn't like all of the people. Donald Trump has the obligation and the authority as the president-elect to do the same darn thing. And some Democrats aren't going to like it either. And my advice would be to get over it, just as we had to get over it nearly 4 years ago when we lost the election.
But you know what, and Shermichael, you know I love you. Donald Trump himself has said that part of his goal is to go into the DOJ and to all of these agencies and relook at what happened in the 2020 election. So we can get over it. No, we can get over it, but you need to tell your president-elect, our president-elect, but your guy, to get over it as well.
Yeah, he hasn't really gotten over it, has he?
No, he has not. That's the problem, and he's making everyone suffer for it.
Jim, most Republicans that I know have gotten over it. They want to govern. They want to deliver results for the American people. They want to think about the future. That's what the American people elected Donald Trump to focus on, the future, not the past. And my advice to the president-elect will be to do just that, focus on the future.
Yeah,
but let's talk
about the past a little bit more. We're hearing for the first time from top members of the Harris campaign about what went wrong in the 2024 election that Donald Trump won this time around. Let's take a listen to this clip from Pod Save America.
Republicans don't make Trump apologize. And as Stephanie said, we don't have to mimic it. But I think that there are a lot of times where if you're in the Democratic Party and you step out of line, you get punished for it. Trump is putting these Republicans in the worst possible political, or what would seem to be, and they support it. Because at the end of the day, they understand that it weakens Trump. And, you know, this may sound like a shot across the bow, but it should be. Democrats are eating our own to a very high degree. And until that stops, we're not going to be able to address a lot of the things that just need to be said.
Yeah, Maria, what do you think about that?
I think there's a point to that. You know, I heard a lot during the election about how Democrats could learn a lot from Republicans about loyalty, but frankly, just about protecting your own and focusing on the what our goal should be and our priority, which should be winning. But look,
it's a little complicated though, because I mean, Democrats had a choice. They could have stuck with Joe Biden. They went with Kamala Harris.
Right.
The president was essentially pressured to step aside in favor of Kamala Harris. But had he not done that, it could have been an even bigger landslide.
Sure, and here's
not that this one was a landslide, but it could have been a big victory.
That's right. It was not a landslide.
Yeah.
It was not. There's no mandate, and it's very, very close election still. Yeah. The fact of the matter is that there's so much coulda, woulda, shoulda in terms of what happened or what didn't happen, and that is going to go on for months. I think the Democratic Party needs to focus on what we need to do moving forward. As we have seen, Republicans are going to overreach. They cannot help themselves. They're going to put in policies, and they're going to have behaviors like we just talked about that the American people are going to reject, and we need to be there in 2 years and in 4 years to make sure that we are fighting back for the American people.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot, Maria Shermichael.
Jim, I just want to say quickly.
Quick final thought.
Look,
go ahead.
The vice president got 74 million votes, way more than Hillary Clinton by, I think, about 8 million. That's an incredible run in about 100 days, and I want to give the vice president her credit.
A lot fewer than Joe Biden.
I do want to be critical of her advisors, Jim. They spent $1.6 billion and left the vice president's campaign at $20 million debt. I would never hire any of them again. I don't blame that on the vice president. I blame that on Democratic consultants.
All right, we're going to keep this
There's
conversation. We'll talk about that.
Yeah,
we'll
absolutely.
do more of the woulda, coulda, shoulda another time, guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, Sir Michael.
Hello, my name is John H. Crawford, Jr. I'm the father of the slain John H. Crawford III, who on August 5th was murdered in the biggest retail store in the entire world. That'd be Walmart. Let me say the name loudly for you. Walmart.
This week, Walmart became the latest big company to pull back on initiatives promoting DEI. That stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Some conservative groups argue that DEI policies are themselves discriminatory and are pressuring corporations to drop them. Ford, John Deere, and Lowe's are among the companies that gave in to that pressure this year. Reporter Stephen Basaha from the Gulf States newsroom is here with more on the trend. Hey there.
Hey, good to be with you.
To start with Walmart, what does the company say it's no longer going to do?
Well, Walmart confirmed to us that it was making these widespread changes to its DEI policies. And in a statement, they said they're willing to change along with their customers and want to foster a sense of belonging. Now, to be clear, it's not like Walmart is removing protections from discrimination for its employees. That's federal law. So this is less about hiring and more about outward policy. So, for example, Walmart will be monitoring its own website to make sure third-party sellers are not marketing transgender products to kids. They'll no longer be giving preference to suppliers based on gender and race, and it will no longer be supporting its Center for Racial Equity. That was created in 2020, shortly after the death of George Floyd. Walmart provided $100 million in grants to the center, and it was funded for 5 years, but Walmart is no longer going to renew it.
Your reference to George Floyd and the year 2020 is a reminder of just how much corporations like Walmart invested in and spoke in favor of DEI after that wave of protests. What's changed since then?
Well, a big one was the Supreme Court's decision last year to stop affirmative action in college admissions. That did not affect companies directly, but corporations like Lowe's are worried it could lead to legal challenges, so they pulled back on their DEI policies. Andre Perry is with the Brookings Institution, and he says companies that are in favor of DEI policies are just scared.
There's also real fear that companies will face a backlash from the federal government because we have many politicians who are railing against DEI.
I know there's conservative lawmakers who are pushing against DEI. There's also been pressure from conservative activists. So who's behind these corporate pullbacks?
Well, the big name to know is Robbie Starbuck. He describes himself as a conservative activist and filmmaker, and he's been leading these campaigns against corporations with DEI policies. He says that's led to changes at 20 companies from Harley-Davidson to Boeing. And he was planning on going after Walmart for being, as he called them, woke. And that led to Walmart actually reaching out to him, and they ended up implementing the changes that he asked for. And Starbuck spoke with me earlier today, and he says he'll keep pushing to strip DEI out of corporate America.
The reality is I probably have another year, would be my guess, of going through companies one by one where we decimate it so much and demoralize the ideology behind it so much that it simply is just on its deathbed and there's no work left to be done.
What about pressure in the other direction? Are people pushing companies to keep DEI policies and maybe even expand them?
Well, there are some civil rights groups that are doing that, are putting on the pressure. But, you know, they say a lot of proponents say that they're nervous right now about the future. And it's not like Walmart is being punished financially for this, at least by its shareholders. Walmart's stock went up about 2.5% since the news broke.
All right. That is Gulf States Newsroom's Stephen Basaha. Thanks for your reporting.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
John H. Crawford III. Context of white supremacy. Negro Friday edition. Gus T. Renegade in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the global system of white supremacy. Today's date, Friday, November 29, Negro Friday 2024. So I have been told. Hopefully everyone survived the giblets, cranberry sauce, chitlins, sweet potato pie and or pumpkin pie, and got some exercise, if anything. If you sat around and gorged all that food for 2 days, get up and get some exercise. You can go walk around the block. There's a park, track where you are, trail, anything. Get some exercise. No need to sit around and eat all of that no-count food. Lots of it filled sugar and white flour and grease, all the rest of it. Unless we had some folks who did better. Did some bok choy and greens, spinach, carrots, broccoli. Got those veggies on for their holiday feast. And I will make sure to say it at the beginning, getting out of the rust of travel, sobriety would be best. If you have children, just started driving, late teens, younger people, or older people, non-white people, be mindful about being out, especially at night. Now until like Monday, sobriety would be best. But if you gotta consume a little eggnog with a splash of something tasty, stay in one location. You do not want to be, we got to go out to the club and then run over here and there. They will very likely have sobriety checkpoints out from now through Monday. Sobriety would be best. If you're going to do the reunion and shindig and all that, get to one spot and plan to stay there overnight. Then you can leave sober and refreshed in the morning. Lots of people are going to have bad holiday for lots of reasons, and even just accidents and all the rest of it. They have a lot of that too that, you know, is dramatic and bad for different reasons. People under the influence and end up having some sort of vehicle collision and all the rest of it. You don't want that either. Sobriety would be best. Back for Neutralizing Workplace Racism, not for spectators. Had a couple of weeks off while I was on the counter-racist research grind in California. Can't say enough. People that do work, travel, be about work. You are not out, you know, partying and at the shindig and all the rest of it. Be about your job if you are on business travel. Big fan of that. So you can maximize your activities and get back safely, which is always top priority. Often the top priority should be, right? Get back safely. And with whatever constructive activities complete that you were tasked to travel with in the first place. Anyhoodles, back on the grind for Neutralizing Workplace Racism, and it's such an opportune time because it's the so-called holidays. Now, hopefully, we got a lot of people who maybe had yesterday and today off. Maybe you get to sit around until Monday. If that is you, use it constructively. Do some cleaning, get that laundry done. Hey, if you're going to do some cooking and they got all the holiday meals and all of that, you can break out the KitchenAid and all that. See if you can prepare things in a healthier manner. More veggies, less sugar. You don't need all that country ham and salt and swine and chitlins and all the rest. Hey, if you're going to do the greens, we don't need to put sugar in the greens. We put sugar in everything. Like, we got so much terrorism on the table. They put white sugar in everything. Put white sugar in the cornbread, collard greens, the broccoli. Like, why do they put sugar on the broccoli? Real talk, why is sugar in the cornbread? This is not cake. Anywho, that's counter-racism too. Like, seeing if you can get people to eat a little bit healthier so they're not loaded up with diabetes and waiting on their next round of insulin and Ozempic for the holidays. Any hoodles, if you did have to work, hopefully you're getting time and a half and know what they call potluck. Is that what it is? Where you bring in, you know, say I'm gonna make yams, mashed potatoes, and bringing in a little turkey, and I'm going to do, matter of fact, I'm going to do some deep fried turkey and dinner rolls, and I wouldn't care what they bring in. If they get Walmart to cater a meal for the hard-working folks who got to come in and work on the holiday, no eating. Presumably, if you got a job, and especially if you're working on the holiday, you're supposed to be making holiday time pay. You do not need them to make you a bologna sandwich, ham sandwich, none of the above. You got your victuals, and certainly if this is, people, whatever they cooked at their residence, and they're bringing in like, oh, nah, I'm good. I'm good on all of that. Desserts, pies, pecan pie, all the holiday good in it, that. Nah, I'm good. And same would apply with black people, because I don't know what their kitchen looks like and all the rest of it. You just don't want to be in a habit on your job, any job. We got food, and I just come salivating at them like, nah. I think about the only exception, we had someone who said that they had caterers on their job. They had like actual 5-star chefs, and they got the hat and uniform and all that, and they were there preparing it right in front of you. That might be a little different. That might be, especially if they can, hook it up vegan this and all. Like, whoa. Okay, might have to leave that, but the normal things that they do on the job, they brought in Papa John's pizza, peanut M&Ms or whatever, some foolishness for the holidays. I'm good. Got ice cream cake, Santa Claus on it. I'm good. Anywho, the rest of it for the holidays, certainly not participating. That is always a big one. If they're going to do like the office decorations, just no thank you. Got to take all that time to put it up, and got to take it back down, and all the rest of it. I'm good. I don't want to dress up. I don't want to do white elephant, because they get that one sometimes too. We got to buy gifts for other people in the office. I've seen where that can waste a lot of time and energy as well. And then people get upset about the gifts that they get, and then they're upset about who they're supposed to get this gift for. Forget all of that to the degree that you can. Now, again, if you work someplace, you hope to retire here, and I want to get a raise, and they move up to the CEO suite and all the rest of it, maybe you do it. But the metaphor that you bite the bullet and you do it. But I mean, real talk, I'd be linked, because you do have people who don't even do Christmas. You have people that, say they are so-called Jewish or what have you, and I don't do that. I don't do all the gift giving for Christmas. Jehovah's Witness, you have a lot of other people. That's why I said I'd be leaning to, no thank you. You all have fun with that, but I'd rather not, because I don't do all the holiday gift giving and such. Thank you kindly. I thought that's supposed to be for children anyway. But I would recommend non-participation as much as is allowed. Again, now if they're going to have some sort of Christmas banquet or holiday feast or whatever it is sometime between now and the beginning of the year, what I just said, if you know you intend or would like to work here for the next 5, 10, 15 years, maybe retire here. Maybe be in line to get a big promotion and all the rest of it, and they are going to be looking at you squirrely if you don't show up for the annual Christmas or, bar mitzvah, whatever jamboree that they do. 30 minutes. That's what I've said for years. You're codified. You are sober. And you kick it for 30 minutes. Hey, Tom. Good to see you, Helen. Looking festive, Nick. As you're drinking water so that you've spoken, people see you, picture, all the rest of it. You can let them know, hey, I got children to take care of. I can't really hang out that late. We got to go get the children from the sitter now. Or whatever else. But I'm going to kick it for 30. That way I arrived. I made an entrance. I spoke to the important people. And we dipped safely and sober. But like I said, that's only if I intend to work here for a long time and know I'm going to be penalized and all the rest of it. If that's not the situation, deuces. We got things to do, and it's been a long year. As for the audio reports that we heard at the beginning, number one, Carolyn Mitchell, black female, died at 73, which I think is a disgrace. 73? Really? man, substantially longer than that. 100, 99, anything. It's 73. The disgrace of white supremacy racism. I know she had grandchildren and all the rest who would love to her to be around kicking it and doing all kinds of things, telling us about the firefighting days. Carolyn Mitchell at 73. But man, they gave the report and they're talking about, how she inspired and all that she had to endure in the male-dominated firefighting business. Every time I hear that sort of malarkey, hold up. White, male, dominated. Kansas, Missouri, Florida, Georgia, you do not have no heaps of Leroy and Jamal out on the fire truck. All due respect to retired firefighter, but even there, it ain't no heaps of niggas out on the fire truck that she had to battle and fight through being a female. Like, please. And then the tackiness in that segment from the Kansas City Star, they are talking about the passing of Carolyn West, who is a black female who I'm sure the problem that she had to deal with was white supremacy racism. It gets moved. We still got the fight for the gender-neutral bathrooms. What? I didn't get to meet Carolyn West, so, I don't know what her politics are. I don't want to be presumptuous. Maybe she was all about the campaign for gender-neutral bathrooms. But again, as I say, as a black female victim of white supremacy, I suspect that her biggest issue would have been the system of white supremacy racism, not gender-neutral bathrooms. Like, where, when, what? See how they do that? Deliberately practicing racism. We won't say that it was white dudes, racist white dudes, who are making a problem for Miss West, and then, Carolyn Mitchell, and then we got to tie in all of, she was a champion and a hero for the white women and the lesbians and the gays and the transgender and trying to get that. Whoa. I thought the problem was these racist white men. Slick man. Let's see. And I know that even more because they mentioned a fella that I'm familiar with. They mentioned Mayor Quentin Lucas and him being sad to hear of her passing, and she fought so hard against racism. They just called Mayor Quentin Lewis a nigger. Mayor, and this was COVID-19, like recent, when he was trying to put in social distancing, got to wear a mask, keep people safe in the Kansas City, Missouri area, and they were calling him a nigger and threatening to lynch him, no less. I bet Carolyn Mitchell, I bet she remembers that. She was still alive. That was 3-4 years ago. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, they said she became the first black female captain and all the rest of it. Did she make any plans for gender-neutral bathrooms while she was captain? Any hoodles. Respect to her attempted family, relatives, people who hopefully can remember her legacy. Maybe she published a book, maybe, you think? She wrote about all her experiences as, first black female captain and all the rest, moving up the ranks and dangerous fires they went out to extinguish and all the rest of it. That'd be interesting to read, right? Maybe inspire another generation of black female firefighters, maybe. Right on to Carolyn West. Hope she, again, wrote a book. Let's see. Next report. The Amazon using robots to boost productivity. I don't even know how to respond on that one because they made sure to go back and say, whoa. We are including people when they're speaking with the Amazon representative, white woman, I believe. We do have, new jobs for people that are going to be maintaining the equipment, making sure everything is operating smoothly. But wow, even the Amazon, I guess they've had so many reports about Amazon that Elon Musk again, Jeff Bezos. They had all those reports about the workers and they don't have time to go to the bathroom and you got to have an empty water bottle so you can relieve yourself when you're out working, or even if you're in the factory getting the boxes and all that set up to be delivered and all the rest of it. they've had so many gripes and reports about our unsafe work policies, and then the laborers trying to unionize. We'll fix your wagon. We'll just have a bunch of bots in the factory, and that'll be done. I think they already have a lot of bots there, period, but ooh-wee. I say you give that one, I don't know, 10 years might be too much, but I'd say at least 10 years. It might be very few people working at the warehouse, or even period, because they're talking about delivery and getting electric vehicles, and are some of the vehicles going to be autonomous, and they can drop things off and all that? Man, I forgot to even mention, while I was in Los Angeles, just UCLA, I didn't see this at USC or any of the other California universities that I visited while in the Golden State, but at UCLA in Los Angeles, they had really small, and I would say like probably not much bigger than 2 cubic feet, pretty small, but they were like these little, it almost looked like a cooler on wheels, had an antenna on it, and they would just drive around campus and drop food off to people. Like I said, it looked like a cooler. It would be just about big enough that you could stick food in. Somebody could order what have you on campus, and you could, boom, pop it in, and these little, whatever you want to call them, they drop the food off. Now, it says they are not autonomous. That's a person or people are actually operating these little, whatever you would call them, trucks on wheels or coolers on wheels. But, man, I wish I had taken pictures because it looks so weird, and I didn't see that anywhere else. But I mean, if that's all, that is already happening, and I'm sure UCLA is not the only place to do such a thing. It probably wouldn't take too many years for where you could have a bot to do that. You don't have any more DoorDash, not with people anyway. People that are doing that as a side gig, like, we'll let the bots do all that. Yikes. Not that I think working at Amazon or any of these is, a great career, but man, that is potentially a fast change in the work environment if the bots are going to be taking things over that quickly, which I suspect they could. Let's see. The report on Elon Musk coming days joining the Trump administration, and we are getting rid of federal employees. It said create an environment of fear and shame. I don't think white people generally are very fearful about losing their job. I certainly was here for COVID-19, and there were lots of white people. They did not look fearful about, I got to get a vaccine, I'm going to lose my job. They defiant is how they looked. Not fearful. Whatever, you're not going to tell me what to do. Whatever. White people being afraid of losing their government job? What? They would have to show me, like, who these white people are, and, white people generally, they don't get fired, they get transferred. They lose their government job, it just means I'm about to get taken care of in the private sector, and big time. Might even write a book about my experience in that mean old Trump. I'd be more concerned about non-white people, particularly black people, because I said that is such a long-running racist trope. Black people have all of these government jobs, the post office and all the rest of it, and ooh, we need to get rid of it, and this is so ridiculous, and these niggers are getting over, and they're not even qualified, that sort of thing. If I was a black person and I had any sort of federal employment, especially anything that I know they're like EPA, I might be a little bit concerned, like Elon and them are coming for me. Not us. Me. We'll see how all this, we got about 2 months, right? They get two-time President-elect Donald Trump 2 months. Let's see, the report on Walmart. John Crawford Jr. talking about his son, John Crawford III, who was killed in a Walmart 10 years ago in Ohio. And they're rolling back their DIE policy. They had the audacity to say, again, white people are afraid. Where are all these scaredy cat white people? All I've been hearing is emboldened. White people are emboldened and emboldened and emboldened. They got their chests poked out and Donald Trump got them riled up. And what do you mean white people are afraid something bad is going to happen to us? They're going to get us. It's going to be awful. Like, what? When? Who? Because you got a DEI policy? Like, come on. That is, and particularly, it's not like this is you got a counter-racist policy. Mostly this is we got a so-called DEI policy to look out for white people who are lesbian, or white people who are transgender, or white people who are gay, or white people who are older, or white people who are in a wheelchair, or white people, whatever. That's what a lot of it is. In the name of George Floyd, we do this, that sort of thing. So why would we be fearful? And even in that report where they talked about the investments and now they're rolling back and all this, like, man, they have extensive reports that a lot of these so-called investments circa 2020 in George Floyd's murder, a lot of these were loans and means where the individuals like Walmart and other white-dominated corporations, they were going to make money. This was not them just giving away grants or any other funding, constructive resources to aid non-white people. This was, well, we got these low finance loans we could offer you, and, you know, we'll make a few nickels off of this and that type of thing. Like, come on, man. Then it's like we're gonna roll back on that too. We fear for it. Blame it on the affirmative action court case. You got to be joking, man. You got to be joking. White people are not serious about replacing white supremacy with justice. That's why they don't even say that. They don't even mention racism. Just D-I-E. Any hoodles. Let's see. Not for spectators. We have folks, if you have any thoughts or any holiday experiences, since we went off a couple of weeks, so if you want to catch up with things that we missed in the interim, questions, thoughts to share, the number 605-313-5164, the code 564943 #, press star 61 if you would like to participate. One thing I wanted to say, we have folks who wrote in as well, so we'll get our emails. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. Make sure I get it again. Neutralizing Workplace Racism, not for spectators. And also, I think, very important with regards to sharing information, our experiences. I always give out the email because I know for some people it's not comfortable talking about these experiences, and or you might have concerns about being identified in terms of you have a distinct voice or whatever the case. But very important. I think important for us to kind of realize how common and widespread some of these racist practices are, so people can grasp, like, oh, I thought this is just something that they are doing to me, but I can see it's happening to a lot of other black people. I think that also is important to recognize, just in terms of what it means to be white, how racism operates in the workplace. But also, I think it's important for the person sharing, because I think sometimes we can be so stressed, have so much anxiety, where white people can kind of confound our ability to just use logic to process what's happening, that sometimes it can be good just either writing it out, because generally when you write you have to be logical. You might even reread what you have typed out before you press send. You have to be logical, so sometimes that sharing process can be helpful to the person who's experienced everything, because it kind of makes them critically examine what's happened to them. And then even just sometimes hearing what other non-white people who are thinking logically and maybe with a little less emotion, what do they think about all this? What are some of the tips, strategies they have? Very important. I also want to make sure I emphasize, I touched on this briefly on the last Neutralizing Workplace Racism broadcast from November 15, which I was just able to get around to uploading this week. It is in the archives. Non-white people, a part of counter-racism strategy, logic, in my view, we have to expect white people to practice racism on the job, anywhere really. It cannot be a surprise. It can't be something where I'm looking for a work environment where there are individuals classified as white or even non-white people, but they never practice racism or any anti-blackness. That is just not realistic for the system of racism. Counter-racism, and specifically neutralizing, is not eliminating, it's neutralizing workplace racism, and that's the reason for the title. That is the goal, the expectation that racism will be practiced, and I'm going to do my job as an attempted counter-racist to neutralize these racist attacks, not for them to happen and I don't say anything or I'm surprised about them. At minimum, I'm going to document what's happened. I might ask questions about what's happened, all of that. But it's not just going to be that I'm stunned that racism has happened. That can't be if I am a student of racism, white supremacy, because I've got to understand, wait a minute, we're in a system of white supremacy racism. This dominates all areas of people activity. That important question that gets asked all the time, what does it mean to be classified as white? That doesn't pause in the workplace. Me being classified as white is still in effect on the job. That is important. Once you grasp that, okay, that means I will be thinking in advance. I say all the time, like, you should already have it, like everybody. I wouldn't care what job you're in, what part of the world, how old you are. I already got my response if I get called a nigger, because it's very likely to happen. I've said that repeatedly. That's just one aspect of white supremacy racism. I've talked for years as well about either sexually inappropriate comments and or petting and feeling and that sort of thing. I've said for years, you should have a response for that already. This is what I'm going to say. This is what I'm going to do. I've encouraged practice. Practice for males and females. Practice. This is what I'm going to do. Not touch me. Get your hand off of me while you're removing their hand. Practice it. Stern, firm voice, eye contact, because I expect this sort of thing to happen. Maybe it doesn't happen today. Maybe I got lucky. Maybe it didn't happen the first 5 years on my job, but bing, there it is. Year 6, there it is. Got called a nigger and or some petting and feeling or whatever. Hopefully it won't happen, but when it does, I'm prepared. That is a huge goal. Fuller has talked about that. Hopefully we've echoed that here at the Cows for years. But it's not supposed to be non-white people being surprised or shocked about racism. And again, even other non-white people being anti-black, even if it's another black person. 8 black grandparents, all in Mississippi right now, eating sweet potato pie for the holidays. Even then, I'm not surprised if they call me a coon. It is the system of white supremacy racism, and that does mean something. Anyhoodles, number again, 605-313-5164, the code 564943 pound, press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. Condolences again to the late, great Carolyn Mitchell, first black female firefighter in the Kansas City area. Again, I thought that was so tacky and disgusting, unless she talked about, and this was a part of her personal crusade, all that transgender and gender neutral bathrooms and all that. What? How many times was Carolyn Mitchell called a nigger during her? How about that? Put that on there instead of talking about some gender. How many times did she get called a nigger? Gender neutral bathrooms. Star 61 if you have commentary to share. Let's see. Lauren with a hand up. If you have commentary to share, unhand those chitlins and let us know. Let's see.
Yes, sir. I'm going to try to put the chitlins down. Just for my workplace, it's I took some leave, and my white woman manager called me on the phone asking me about an assignment that she never even assigned me. And that's a problem. Both of those are problems, right? It's like she will tell people I'm going to do something, but she doesn't give me the assignment. And also, it's becoming pretty common now for her to call me on my cell phone when I'm on leave. I think this is just a way she practices racism. I don't know, if she's trying to get me upset. The first time she did it, she actually told me I didn't have leave. And the thing is, I don't just take leave. I have to request leave, and she approves it. So, I don't know. That's going on. And I also think she's trying to get me to work on my time off because, these assignments she's talking about, if I take the week off and then there's Saturday and Sunday and then Monday, it's like, well, we're going to talk about this and blah, 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 something she assigned while I was gone. Well, I'm not going to do it. And I think that's what she's trying to get me to do. Just reference the news. I was reading the New York Times, and there was an article. It was called Nursing Home Industry Wants Trump to Rescind Staffing Mandate. Now, this wasn't that long ago. It was in the last year or two, definitely after COVID started, after all those people started dying in the nursing homes, the older people. I guess Biden or whomever, some white people decided that nursing homes needed more staffing. And they came out with some numbers, however many people you need a nurse or whatever. So whatever mandates have been put out there, they want those to be rescinded by the next administration. Also, I heard a segment on NPR, and it was about, I don't know whether it was a prison or a jail, but definitely greater confinement in the state called Georgia. And they have a pilot program where they're using what they call jail bots. It's I think they said they were 6 feet tall robots that were rolling around tracking inmates. It's pretty easy to find a segment on NPR. A white man said something on there that it really, I doubt the truthfulness of his statement. He said, there will be no reason for concern. And I don't understand how you can tell other people whether or not they should be concerned about these robots in greater confinement. It's, I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. Also, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, they're supposed to be heading the Department of Government Efficiency. I don't know how they're pronouncing that acronym, DOGE, I'm not sure. But they are calling for federal employees to return to the office 5 days a week. And this article was in the New York Times. And I'm sorry, let me give you the actual title of the article. It says, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy call for 5-day in-office work week for federal employees. And they were also saying that the Department Government Efficiency, they shouldn't pay federal employees for the COVID era privilege of staying home. This was 11/20/2024 in the New York Times. They also discussed Schedule F, which would convert tens of thousands of federal workers to at-will employees that could be more easily fired. So, yeah, that's all I have to share. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Wow, more easy to fire people. Well, what that would do is make it so that you have fewer or less lip. We don't have any uppity employees. There might be jumping up in our face talking about you can work 3 days or 4 days or 5 days and all the rest. Like, ooh-wee. Everybody, keep quiet. Do what they say. Have me up out of here, which is already the case in the system of white supremacy racism. I heard while I was in San Francisco, there was a white woman, white man, talking. I was en route to Stanford, going to get the train, and they were talking about the required return to work policies. I didn't quite catch where they were working in San Francisco. It seemed techie, which apropos, but they were talking about the policy, and they said basically it requires you to be present 5 days a week, every other week. Like you can have 1 week where I guess you're at home for 2 or 3 days or whatever it is, but that next week, all 5 days. And it was apparently very intricate because in addition to that, it was also, it was something to the effect of when you have the week where you don't have to be there all 5 days, you can't just always not be there on Friday and Monday. It was something to the effect of it has to be mixed up. Like you have to be there on some Fridays, you have to be there on some Mondays. You can't just always, do a 4-day weekend type of a thing. And it seemed like kind of lamenting these new strictures on whether or not you, and I would too in lame San Francisco, like, oh my God. I guess I shouldn't say lame San Francisco if I'm saying LA is lame, because San Francisco is way better than LA, but do not be mistaken. I like California, love California. I do not love San Francisco. I had a great time, but San Francisco is kind of lame, and that's how I felt like the first day I arrived in San Francisco, like years and years ago, and that's still the way that I view it now. I mean, come on. They just shot the 49ers football player, man. He was going to work, I think. Like, talk about workplace racism, Jesus Christ. I wouldn't want to go 5 days a week either. And you have to, especially if you work like downtown, like, oh my God, like, man, I'm trying to work from home as many days as possible. I'm going to get me a quiet place to live in the East Bay, Berkeley. Go to Berkeley Bowl, get yellow watermelon. Love my life. I don't want to be fighting through all that hubbub in San Francisco. That, boy, they were talking, like I said, this was a lengthy conversation about all the details of the policy and, how often you're required to be there. I didn't hear anybody say, we're quitting. But it was, big changes are on the horizon. Now, with personal, the racism that Lauren is experiencing, I was wondering if it is an option, because she said this racist white woman who we've heard from before loves to call her on her off days, one, to even question, like, what, Negro, what are you not doing in the office? You're supposed to be in the office. What are you doing? She said, I got approved leave. You, I think, unless I was mistaken, you, white woman, approved the leave. What do you mean you don't? Haven't we heard that before? See? And I think we've heard it exactly this way. We've had black female employee with a white woman supervisor, where it's exactly this dynamic. What? Nigga, you supposed to be here. Why aren't you in work? That's what I say about you. You say, well, I got approved time. What? Who approved? You approved it. What do you mean, who approved it? Oh my. That's the one. And then to call on the day off. Oh, well, I had said that you were going to do such and such. She said, I'll tell other people, the white woman, I'll tell other people that, oh, Lauren, we're going to give this one to her. This is going to be her assignment. But I don't tell Lauren. I wait and, tell her at the last minute, or even better, I wait until it's her day off to call and tell her that, hey, man, where's the report at? You supposed to get that done, man? And I think we even heard that a few times too. Like, what? I don't even work today. What? What? Who said you? Oh. Well, you don't get that report. Like, come on. And to have this be a habitual thing, it does not get any better than tacky. I would ask, though, because they got that law in Australia about, hey, you can't be doing that. If it's, time off, it's the weekend, and that person doesn't work weekend or whatever it is, hey, you can't be calling them on their cell phone or their home line or whatever it is, and, hey, what you up to? Can you come in? And they just made that a law in Australia, and they talked about they didn't know if they'd be able to do the same thing here. I'd say here, man, hey, do you have to answer the phone? Because they have that at some jobs. Yes, you are required to answer the phone. If that's not the job, especially once I observe that as a pattern, like there's some sort of tackiness where you've forgotten, and I would even be preemptive. Once this has happened one time, why this for everybody, where I've taken a vacation or whatever, even because I think Lauren was telling us where she had the 4-day work week set up, and the white woman was mad about that. Like, what? This nigga woman didn't gonna come in here on Fridays? And that's company policy. You can do the 4-day work week and all that, and I just don't come in on Friday. She's mad about that. Calling on every Friday. Once this happens one time, before I go on my break, if I'm going to take vacation or what have you, I remind them with a big smile. It's all kind, but just reminding them, and Lauren might be doing that, but I would remind them. And I would even pull the approval sheet so that they see it. And matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about it, documentation. I would remind them and then send an email. It's dated, approval letter included. Bang. Just a reminder, hope everybody has great time and everything covered while I'll be out. Dates, boom, boom. The approval per us discussing this months or weeks in advance or whenever it was. See you guys on Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever it is. Love and kisses. But that would be the pattern. Like, once this happens one time, the friendly reminder, no one should be upset about this because I'm trying to minimize confusion so no one is stunned that I'm not here or that sort of thing. Everybody gets a friendly, and it would be, I might even schedule it because this is when you could schedule the email so it's delivered. Like, I might be, if this was going to be, I'm taking this coming Thursday and Friday off, I'd be working on that email this weekend, and I would just schedule it to be delivered sometime after 12 p.m. on the last day I was going to be at work. That way it's later in the day. And Lauren might be doing all this already, but oh yeah, I would try and be preemptive once I see that, oh, we conveniently forget. And it's an accusatory forgetfulness. It's not just, oh, that's right, I approve that. We had talked about that before. The nigga woman don't want to be. No, it's, what? Why aren't you here? What are you doing? That's like, get you like defend, like, whoa, wait a minute. Composure. That's another one too. Always, doesn't matter who you are. I wouldn't care if you're Obama in the White House. Expect to be accused of something. Something you didn't do. You were supposed to be at work. You didn't get proper authorization for this day off. Expect to be accused of something. You stole all the petty cash. You stole all the paper clips. I don't care how small, how big. Expect to be accused of something. And then be prepared. Take a few breaths. Get your composure. Question lane, really. Even with something, the day off. Do you remember approving my day off for these dates back in October? I have a picture in PDF of the document in case you've forgotten. Question lane. And keeping the composure, but I certainly acknowledge that is really lame and racist when you are constantly having that sort of, and even just the disruption. I'm out trying to enjoy my day or sleep or do laundry or garden or whatever. And, oh, God, here we go. Here we go. No, I don't work today. No, you didn't even tell me that this was my assignment. Like, who wants to go garden at it like this? Heifer again. Ugh. Let's see, make sure I didn't. Let's see. Wrong one. Yeah, that is one, the ignoring the call, because there might be repercussions for that as well, because they might take that as further uppityness from Negro staff. But that is one I would think about, and then different ways of preempting as best I could. The Negro bots in the jet, that is like Black Mirror season 3. Not that I'm advocating television, but that is about the size of what that sounds like. I guess since it's just black people and lots of black privileged black dudes that they stuff into the prison. I don't know why they picked Georgia as it. They didn't pick one of the states like up here. They didn't pick Washington State or Idaho, Oregon, Iowa. They didn't pick one of the states where it's lots and lots of white people. They picked Georgia as the test site. Man, that's the subject of slavery by another name, Douglas Black. I'm sorry, that's not funny. I'm so sorry. That is not funny. Please forgive me, anybody, especially if you have like relatives in prison. Man, my apologies. That is not funny, but man, like I interviewed Douglas Blackman. That's why I'm laughing to a degree. Like, man, that is the centerpiece for the book. Black dudes in prison in Georgia, and ooh, the misery, let me tell you about it. Now you got the 2025 version, the jail bots. Wow. Progress. Whew, I don't even know what to say about that. It's like, is that staffing concern? Like, we don't have enough white people to staff the prison, so now we got jail bots? Man, do they have weapons? Yikes. Like, man. Whew. Anyway, much obliged. Lauren, try as best you can to enjoy your holiday. Terrorism from the white woman, false accusations aside. I guess other people can let us know, like, do you all use that? Can you, because they got a lot of people have caller ID now and such. If you note your either boss or even other employees, maybe, I don't know, they start calling you during your off time. You're not on the clock. Maybe you're not even supposed to be in work that day. Maybe it's a whole day where you're not supposed to be in the office. Do they do that? Do you ignore their call? If so, is there a penalty? Do they fuss at you the next day? Like, man, I called you yesterday. You're supposed to answer from. Just let me, just trying to figure out, or people have tips on how to neutralize that. Can you just say, I'd appreciate it if we try not to call me on my day off unless it's like an emergency. I'll let you know in advance. I'm not going to be in the office that day because I just, have lots of things to do and limited time off. So is this a strategy where we can minimize that, where I'll let you know, that way I can get as much done in advance as possible? That might even be one, because then I get to be in the question lane, be proactive about it. If I note that this is happening on a consistent basis, just let me know. That way you don't have to waste time looking for me and trying to track me down on a day where I'm not going to be in the office. Or even better, I won't be available. But yeah, let us know. Do folks have any suggestions? You can write them in. If you listen to the archives, write them down. Because I know we've heard this from a lot of people too, where the employer loves to call on your off time days. We've had people call in and tell us that they don't even work for the company anymore, and they still call, reminisce, trying to woo you back. Like, man, I don't even work for you anymore. Why are you calling me? What is going on? Can you just not answer the call, or did we have better tips, better suggestions on how to neutralize that? Because time, that's, man, white people waste your time and especially your so-called free time. You're not right here where I can come and nitpick and harass you every day and look over your shoulder and check every keystroke. I don't know where you, I don't know what you're doing, what you're reading, what you're getting into. Oh, my goodness. Time and energy. Let's see. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Definitely do not, be spectating if you have a tip or a strategy for how to neutralize the phone calls on your off time. Let us know, like pronto. And then if you have any tips on, any of the other, if you have a federal job and you're concerned about it being snatched up, I guess you can let us know that as well. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. Poor Georgia. Oof. Let's see. Irie in Cancer Alley. Do you have commentary? Should be with us.
Salutations, Gus. It's been a long time. I hope you had a great trip. I didn't get to listen to your update, but I know you went and did your thing, so welcome back. I have a report and a query or an inquiry. So the report is I in search and in need of, money. I took a substitute day at a school district, and it wasn't a teacher position. It was the at a school. I've been at this school district before, but one of the schools that's not having so many problems with kids, like making threats or pretending like they're going to do things, whether they're serious or not. I don't know, I'm getting tongue twisted, but basically elementary school. And I decided I would substitute this time instead of teacher for office clerk, and I thought that they had correctly posted the title or the position that needed substitution, but it was actually the secretary. And so I said, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to go with the flow. And basically, it was a very awkward day to substitute because the event they were having was something about eating donuts, something with donuts, and if the student was a star student or something, the parent would be invited to eat donuts with their child that day in the morning. And if not, the student was just expected to come to school. And so the office started filling up with people after a while. And, well, one thing I will say, I asked before that, I said, what's our protocol for letting people in? Because I was just sat down like, oh, you can sit here and you can just start putting in the tardies. And I'm like, in what system? Like, how do I do it? So she had to show me, and then she had to also explain how the camera system works with the intercom, and I'm like, okay, so what's the protocol for, like, an emergency or someone that doesn't, what do we do if it's something that looks like it could be bad, like, someone that looks threatening or whatever? And she was like, well, we're just going to call a lockdown and then go into XYZ office and we won't come out until we get it all clear. That's not funny. That's not funny at all. I'm laughing because I'm like, wait. Before I sat down at this desk, I'm thinking, we should have had a whole litany of things because I got there early because I'm like, okay, I'm going to be in the office, but again, it was a position I had never done before. But then it's like, no, you're the secretary for the office, so therefore something could happen. So what do we do if something happens? So if it looks like we have an active shooter situation, or so she was like, we're just going to call a lockdown and lock ourselves in the office, and we're not coming out until we get all clear from the police. I'm like, okay, this is not. I'm not going to be doing this too much many more times in the future. But then the parents started coming in, and so some of the parents are getting irate because apparently they signed up the night before to be able to just come in and get an ID without having to check their ID into the system, which I'm not sure why they shouldn't have to check their IDs into the system if you're coming into a school regardless. So it's some kind of streamlined process where they were supposed to be registered the night before and just come in and show their faces or say, hey, I'm Jack or I'm Jane. And then, oh, yeah, I have your pass here. You can go to your class with your child. But it wasn't working. So there was this one guy, white man, he was in a chef coat. And I'm sorry if I'm being confusing. I'm trying to remember everything properly. It was true. So this guy was in a chef coat, and he just stood out because I could see he was turning red because he expected to be able to just go to the class, but it didn't work, whatever he did the night before. So he had to do it again, and then he had to wait because what was happening was people were registering, I guess, online as they were in transit to the school, and then there was the backlog of people who some kind of way it was just jammed up, the little system, printing out these passes. So he starts slamming his iPhone. I'm telling you, I'm only laughing because it was like, this is amazing. Like you are acting like you are in line to go see an NFL team and you got, season passes and you are shocked. Why am I waiting? I'm a season pass holder, my face. Like he was acting like he was like, I don't know. That's how it came across to me. Like he was expecting some kind of concierge service or something. I hope that's not a metaphor, but he starts slamming this big old iPhone on the desk, and I'm just putting on my best, like, thank you so much. We'll be right with you. We just got to make sure everybody's in the system, So finally he goes and has his donut. He's gone. But then what really just flummoxed me was after most of the parents had come in, there was this black man with his son, and he wasn't invited to the donut celebration. And so the other secretary was like, are you here to do the donut little thing? He's like, no, what donuts? Ain't nobody told me that they was eating donuts today. And she was like, oh, it's for the STAR students. And he goes, oh, he ain't no STAR student. I was like, oh, hold my mule, creator, hold it, because I want to say something so bad. And the little boy is just looking like, he's just looking at us talk about him. And so he's like, yeah, he ain't no STAR student. Nah, he ain't getting I ain't getting no invite, nothing. Ain't nobody said nothing to me. I said, maybe Dad, maybe we just haven't found his learning style yet, and maybe once we do, you'll be doing better and you will get invited. And he ain't say nothing. I was like, oh, Lord, well, I tried. So then that's when he signs him in. He's late, by the way. He signs him in. He's like, all right, gone to class. See you later, bro. I was like, this is not constructive. I'd rather be in the classroom right now because, they say you miss the grass or you think the grass is green on the other side, like the people in the office are just kind of chilling and they're not as stressed out. This was stressful, and it was stressful seeing these different reactions of these non-white parents, white parents, and and then there was an influx of black women coming in for IEP meetings toward the afternoon. I'm just asking questions like, have you consulted a professional? Just kind of chattering a little bit, not trying to give away that I'm trying to, be counter-racist. Like, have you talked to any professionals outside of the school, got a consultation or read any books on it? Oh, yes, I know. One lady's like, I got this. And so I was like, okay. I was like, well, just want to throw this one book out to you, the NOLO IEP and 504 guide, just in case you're interested, but, it depends on the state. She was like, this is one of them things. They think they doing something to my son, but I'm going to make it work for me. I said, you know what? I don't know what that means, and I'm going to just to the left. And I did. Yes, ma'am, you have a good meeting. But it was a bunch of black women alone coming in for IEP meetings about black boys. And I was like, oof. So somewhere along the way, people started piling in with food. I was like, what is going on? What's the celebration for? And they're like, you want a wing? I'm like, no, I'm okay. And then somebody came with a big old thing, and like the cheapest donut I feel like you can buy, Dunkin' Donuts. And so they're like, you want a donut? And I'm like, no, I'm okay. Like, you don't want anything? I'm like, I'm just gonna wait for lunch and have my little snack pack that I brought with me. And so I just went in the back to look out of curiosity, and there's this, I guess they would say up north, the smorgasbord. Did I say that right? It's homemade dips. No, Jesus, no, I'm not doing it. Balls and meat sauces and cheeses. And I'm like, what? Again, is there a football game happening somewhere that I don't know about? Why are y'all eating like this? And she was like, oh yeah, we're snackers. Like, this is what's happening in the front office of the school. This is why I'm like, everybody has to know what I'm seeing right now. This is so pitiful. All I can do is just laugh to myself and shake it off and try to make a good, day out of it. The poor non-white nurses are being overworked. Like, anytime, I don't know what these people are able to, like, how they're supervising these kids at recess with like kids steadily getting hurt. They punching each other. They kicking each other. They experiencing the school lunch apparently wasn't good that day either, because so many kids had vomited that up. I'm like, this is a lot. So I said, well, I've gotten somewhat of a full aspect of the school experience. I've been a para, I've been a TA, I've been a substitute, I've worked in office, and again, no good briefing on, listen, this is what we do in fire, active shooter, flooding, tornado, bomb. This is what we do. So let's go over it a couple times. And yeah, just pray for the children. The children are not all right. So I'll move on to my inquiry, and I apologize for laughing because I'm serious. I was just so frustrated. I'm like, this isn't good, but I apologize about that. I think I'm getting stiffed on a graphic design project. It's a non-white person. Things were going well. I made clear what the benchmarks were in the contract. And I only take referrals to people I know. And I let them know, hey, you get this many variations to choose from as a draft. And then once you pick your draft, we're going to develop it into a complete, vector for your use. And when we get to the second stage where I'm starting to develop in is when the second payment is due. And so I made a couple extra for this person, a couple extra drafts, because I know him and he's young, and I was trying to help But I guess the nice thing wasn't the right thing. I should have stuck to my contract. But I made some extra variations for him to choose from, and I know I snapped on him. I know it was good. So he chose one. I said, okay, well, let me know how you want to go about it directionally. He said, I sure will. And then a week went by, and I'm like, okay. He knows that the next payment's due because I sent it to him from Stripe. And Stripe will remind you. And I'm not getting nothing. I called him, left a voice message. And now it's like, okay, I can send another email and then send a demand letter, or do I just let it go? Like, I didn't charge him that much. I only charged him like $700, which some people like, that's not a lot, or some people might say that is a lot. I don't know, but it was broken up in installments, and I know this person. And I also see him at the hardware place that I have to go to fix stuff sometimes. So it's like, you really want to do this? I don't know if I should just let it go or not. But I needed that money, which is also why I was substituting. I was, it's just times are hard, and just trying to figure stuff out. And I'm trying to rely more on my consultation and graphic design expertise more than being in the schools because of the issues that I've heard about and been told about and all that and what I've seen recently. Okay, I'll mute my line. Thank you so much.
Much obliged, Irie. Not a punitive recognition, just for accuracy. When she said, hold my mule, I haven't been to Sunday school in a minute, so it took me a minute to grasp, what that means. That's one of the reasons why I say the metaphors, because sometimes people don't know the metaphors, or they have a different interpretation. It can spread confusion. Very important, I think, to strive for accuracy. All of that said, man, did I not mention diabetes, Ozempic already? I thought I already talked about that in terms of getting some bad food this time of year, especially at work. To turn right around at school, no less, with young people in a state that is not well known for being full of healthy people, to the absolute contrary. The reward is Donut Day? Out of all the things, Donut Day. Come on, man. I mean, that's the best. Who even thought of this as a reward? Like, even that. So that I talk about that. Like, that's a lot of how you end up with people who have problems with food, especially weight problems later on in life, because these are the attachments that they have. Thanksgiving, what did we do? We sat around and ate chitlins and sweet potato pie and all that. So that's what you eat for the next 30 years. What did we do? You did well in school. We celebrated. Dad came up and we had chocolate-covered donuts. So now I eat chocolate-covered donuts for the next 35, 40 years, and have diabetes, or maybe have chocolate-covered donuts on Thanksgiving too. So we have sweet potato pie, chocolate-covered donuts, and chitlins, in which some people do that. That's why I talk about the importance and power of food. And you see this in the schools all the time. Like, it'll be a reward. I've been at a school where the reward was the child got a 2-liter soda. Not the class. Each individual child that was a star, as she told us, got a 2-liter soda. Diabetes, and plenty of it. Anyway, and then the donuts came back again. I said, what? How many rounds of donuts do we see? Addicted. See? You get them at 10, 12 and all that. Oh man, I can't just eat one. I need about 5, 10, 12 donuts. Come on now. He didn't even say we got the good donuts. Now you mess around and get some Krispy Kreme. Man, I could walk to get vegan donuts right now. I don't eat vegan donuts every day. I don't even eat vegan donuts every week. I could walk to get vegan cinnamon rolls, vegan ice cream, and vegan donuts. I don't go eat that all the time. Gee, much less for children. Like, come on, man. Anyway, she's talking about the school component, so they're going to get a good round of diabetes for everybody. And the parents are coming in, and she's seeing all the confusion and getting the pass it. Pause for Dill Reb Columbine. That's a big part of why all this is. We got to have all this commotion, confusion, chaos to get in the school, or somebody might get mad and shoot the place up. And then seeing folks being upset, and time and energy, really. Got to wait in line, and it's taking all this time and all the rest of it. I wouldn't want to be, if anything, composure, because I know as a non-white person, that sort of conduct, you slamming the phone, that right there, up. Mr. Johnson, we're going to have to ban you from the premises. White people love to do that sort of thing. So then you get no donut, and you can't even come back up to gripe at the teachers. So the folks in line are upset, what have you. The whole process is lame. Then my mule, she said, when the black fella comes in with his child, says, oh, I don't know nothing about no donut. What the donut? Said, oh, maybe your son, he's a star. I said, oh, Leroy ain't no star. Woo! Black male privilege. Man. And that probably reflects the way he has been talked to. This privileged black father probably reflects the way that he's been talked to. Not making, an excuse or absolving, but I mean, Fuller does say that children raising children. She says she tries to have some black self-respect. Said, I put my mule down. So, well, maybe we just haven't found his correct learning style. And then once we get it together, you come on in and get a teaspoon of diabetes too. Get you 3 or 4 donuts. Woo, man. System of white supremacy. Now, she didn't say it like she was expecting a right on. I appreciate that, my black sister. She didn't say it as though she was expecting that, but woo, man. The system of white supremacy is devastatingly effective. And I'm like, for reals though, I suspect that's probably the way that people have talked to him, and particularly about something academic, learning, using his brain computer. That's probably the same way that people have talked about him. Oh, it's good for nothing, worthless, and annihilation of black self-respect. Now, she's talking about being an entrepreneur. I know Fuller has talked about this explicitly on saying black people will not pay you. White people have the muscle. Godfather Part 2. This is the 50th anniversary. They got the muscle. Corleone family, man, mess around if you want to. We're going to ask one time. and the blood will flow. White people got muscle, so we'll pay them. They put you out in the street, call the sheriff, all that. He said, black people, we don't have that muscle, so black people will not pay you. You already have to, put that in the code. I think she started off, she said she knew this fella. One, she seemed like she did have a code talking about Irie, where she said she only takes individuals who have been referred, right? Not just trying to minimize taking total strangers you don't have any sort of familiarity with. She said she knew this person, so she was trying to be nice about things. Just stick to the code. Just stick to the code. She's working things out, I guess doing the first few drafts or what have you, and then, nah. I don't know if that's, part of the code, but I would, factor that in. Might even be that the first portion of the payments, like you were doing it on installments, that it's weighted. So if we have people who are going to flake like that and then fail to commit to the contract, that the first payment is more than the latter. She already might be doing that. But for other folks, maybe that would be something to even consider. So the payments are getting smaller as we go. Then once they've made that larger commitment, maybe they're more likely to follow through. But that way you get a little bit more of your money for the time and energy that you invest through this process if people are not willing to commit. But in terms of pursuing, man, it's one of those things in terms of weighing how much is this, how much do you think you'll get? Even if you win your suits, the person going to pay, and then if you go through time, energy, to have to garnish wages and all the rest of it, how much do you think you're going to get from all this versus the amount of time and energy you'll have to invest? Do you think it's worth it? Because it might take months, could even take, over a year for the whole process, going to court, blah, 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 all that. Do you think it's worth it? If you think so, I would say proceed. If not, I would at minimum, I would remember, because I wouldn't, you were saying this is money that you were dependent on. You'd put the work in. I think any reasonable, right-thinking person, I did this work. I should be compensated. We agreed. We had a contract and everything. In the future, as she's doing now, what can I do to make sure that this never happens again? That's why I'd say at minimum, or at least minimize as much as possible. That's why I would definitely, and she might have already been doing this, it would be weighted so that it's not, if it's going to be $700 like we were talking about here, if it's in installments, let's say we got 3 installments, that first payment, I'm thinking it should be like $300, maybe even more than that. They say, oh man, that's, quite a bit. Hey, people flake. This represents a commitment. We're serious about this business. And then the payments get smaller as we proceed. But that would be one that I would make sure, bigger payment for the first one. And I don't know if other folks have suggestions in terms of what to do to minimize this sort of thing happening. Even, like I said, I think accepting what Mr. Fuller said is totally valid. Black people will not pay you, and apparently there's a lot of cheating people in the system of white supremacy racism. So very important to have a code about, what to do to minimize, what to do when this does happen. Is it worth the time and energy to pursue, the remainder of the installments on this $700 debt for the work that you've done thus far? My recommendation, stick to the code. Stick to not the hookups. Certainly I understand if you want to hook up, but it would be like, man, people that are like down, like not casual just because they're homies or what have you. Like, oh man, we went to school together or did this together. Like, yeah, it would be a lot fewer hooking up and looking out just because this person is classified as black and whatever else. It would have to be a lot more into that, just because this sort of thing is very kind. Sometimes it's even people who had the best intentions, but just the system of white supremacy racism, lots of us are in that position where we do not have sufficient nickels, so they end up, not following through on their commitment to get the rest of the work done. So folks have strategies, tips to minimize this, and then it being worth it to pursue, the remainder of this debt from a non-white person. I don't know, because I do know it can be a process. Like, that's when it's not going to be like a 2-month and this is all over. Like, oh man, it could end up being substantially more of a time and energy commitment than that to recoup these funds. That's also something to consider.
May I say something?
Yes,
real
ma'am.
quick?
Mm-hmm.
So actually, my offspring told me to make the deposit heavier or weighted, so at least like more than 50% down. So I will consider that in the future. I think I'm actually, just to clarify, more concerned about him using the design, using the design more than him even not paying me. So that's why I was like, maybe if I push him to honor the contract, at least he would have what he wants and I'd have what I want. But, it's something about it in the back of my mind is itching. Metaphor. It's bothering me. Because I know my work and I know the other people, the contemporaries in the area, and we're not matched. I'm superior. And I'm like, is this guy trying to stiff me, but not pay me, but also really just take the design? Because, if he does that, I'm going to go full force on him. I'm not going to lie. Like, even if I take an L or lose a little bit financially because I just work too hard, and that's intellectual property. But, him being young, he's a father, and, oh, God, why do this? You know what I'm saying? But, okay, I'm sorry. That was it.
Great clarification. Know your worth, any business, even if you don't work for yourself, know your worth. Very important about the theft and future potential misusage even of your intellectual property. So bravo. I'm with your offspring, I think, where you make the deposit a little money. You can even, like I said, you can tell people the logic of why that is, and that it is still on installments. The future payments will be smaller, but this is because your time and energy is important. This is not, you really want to make sure that people who come to you to get your genius products are serious and are not just coming in here to waste time and all that. Especially you're hooking people up with extra designs and all this beyond even, what's supposed to be offered, and then messing around and not even respond. Like, even I would have had more respect. And I know it can be embarrassing and all the rest, but I would have had more respect for just, hey man, I know we had agreement on blah, blah, blah and all that, but this happened, and, we got to get an extra, 30 gallons of chitlins or, car problems, whatever. Either way, I don't have it. Or even, I'm not going to even need the design. Something happened where it ruined the whole project, which white people can do that as well. And now I can't even use the design, so I'm not even going to need it. And, my fault. Like, just let people know, like, that goes a long way. They talk about communication. That goes a long way to, certainly doesn't make things perfect. Time and energy is still important, but just at least now I have some grasp about, what transpired, and, we can go from there and working things out. But just, man, nothing. Like, man, my time and energy is important. Anywho, that's anti-blackness. Again, that's also to be expected. I talked about that. I said I added that to the 10 stops. Do not waste black people's time and energy. That is so important because white people waste our time and energy. Lauren said that. First caller. She said white woman calling her on her day off and messing around, and you aren't supposed to be in here, wasting our time and energy, which is precious. None of us knows how long we're going to be here, period, much less free time that we got while we are here. Do not waste other victims of white supremacy's time and energy. That is so important. But I agree with your offspring. The first payment deposit, that should be high. I think it should be even closer to 50% of the total payment, and you tell them this is for people that are serious. Let's see. We'll see if other folks have tips for entrepreneurs not getting jilted in their business affairs. The number is 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. You know, I saw so many swine vendors in California, both Northern California and SoCal. Man, I was wondering, like, do they need a permit to do this? Does this count as a food truck if I just go out and I have like a wagon and decide to sell bacon-covered hot dogs, which many people do? Do you need a permit to sell hot dogs in California? Can anybody just roll up and do that? Like, it did give me great pause because so many people had hot dog carts in bacon-covered hot dog carts in California. Like, does that require a work permit? Does the Department of Health come and inspect your hot dogs? No. I just saw them so much that I had to process this because they were ubiquitous in the Golden State. Anyway, if you have any hot dog cart vendors from California, let me know. I think these were all non-white people. Now that I'm I don't think I saw any people classified as white selling Franks. Yeah. Anyway, star 61 if you have commentary. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. Let's see. I'll check to see if we missed other hands. I'll get in one email. Let's see. Email number 1. So after accusing me of turfing people off desks, this is our female caller. She said where she was having back issues and all that, and so they got a specific desk area for her. This is not, I guess, the situation that they have where I guess they do have some desks that are rotating or you can sign up for them or what have you, but this is not in that queue. You cannot sign up for her assigned workstation. And she even had non-white people, her black sisters, get upset with her. Like, there's no count wench stealing desks, not letting these good white people sit. That sort of setup she had just told us about. So anyway, she says, after accusing me of turfing people off desks and me letting her know I have an assigned desk, Phoebe just couldn't leave it alone. She asked if I was getting kitted out. I assumed if she wanted to know if I was getting an appropriate chair for my back problem and other equipment. I said yes. She then claimed to not know how to go about getting an assessment for her back problems. This is a lie. As the manager of a team, she's required to know. Furthermore, when Shauna was pretending to me that she didn't know what the process was, she suggested I speak to Phoebe as she's the expert. I asked Phoebe if she wanted me to send her the link to the relevant form on the intranet. She said no. Wait, and this is more wasting time. I don't even know how to do that. And really, all of it is this nigger woman and got this chair. Man. Phoebe also likes to count my money. A few months ago, I made the mistake of asking her if it was cold outside. She had just returned from lunch, and I was about to take mine, so I wanted to know if I needed to wear my jacket. She asked where I was going. She caught me off guard with the question, so I told her I was popping to the supermarket, mentioning it by name. There are 2 other stores that are nearer to the office where we work. These stores are lower scale than the one I was going to. I shop in all 3, but they don't sell the item I wanted. When I told her the name of the store, Phoebe's response was, "Nice." That response did not fit and made me feel uneasy, so I knew I revealed more than I intended. I've started making soup for lunch. This is the time, and I just told someone They asked, what's so cool about your Vitamix? I had a smoothie just as the show began. They said, what's so cool about the Vitamix? I said, well, aside from a great warranty and makes great smoothies, it makes soup. Lots of soup. How many blenders do that? Anyway, making soup. Phoebe has been doing the same. Now, I wonder, did Phoebe start making the soup after you make, like she's copying you, or was she doing this already? Were you copying her, type of thing? I'm just trying to ascertain who is, monkeying who here. Being nosy, she asked me about the ingredients. I made the mistake of telling her mine and had lamb in it. Phoebe's response, lamb. I immediately felt uncomfortable. Hers was made from lentils. Hey, there we go. Leave the lamb alone. Jiminy, isn't that in the manger? Don't they do that for Christmas time? They put the lamb in the manger out there with Jesus, white Jesus, when they get ready to do his birthday. Don't they have a lamb? Like, Jiminy crickets. Eat the lentils. Don't eat the lamb. Let's see. The following week, she inquired about my soup again. I told her, and she asked the same question. I really don't care, but I'm concerned about being seen as aloof. I asked her if she was vegetarian. Her response was, no, but you can't have meat every day. Hey. Bravo. Save the lambs. She said in a defensive and reactive way, which again caught me off guard. Oh, no, I don't say it defensively. Just, proud vegan. Whoopee. I generally don't even, if people are eating meat around me, I generally don't say anything. Anywho, let's see. So much so that I almost apologized for offending her. I said, oh no, I was just wondering. She relaxed a bit and said, no, I've never been vegetarian. Her response confirmed to me that she was counting my money. My iron levels had been low, so I'm being intentional about what I'm eating. But that's also none of Phoebe's business. Amen to that. I was eating my soup at the desk last week. Phoebe, who observes everything, commented to the non-white, non-black male seated next to me that she can smell onions. Where's that coming from? I said that's probably my soup. I think she was trying to make me feel uncomfortable, but she didn't succeed. She then heated her lunch and brought it to her desk. I asked what she made. She claimed it was chili bean curry. It smelled as aromatic as a bowl of boiling hot water. Dang. Dang, that's kind of judgment on her curry. For people who don't eat curry, curry is supposed to be very explosively flavorful. I make a very delicious curry. I have pictures online, but it's got all that garlic and cumin and turmeric. I told you they got fresh turmeric across the street. And ginger, it's supposed to be really spicy, like heat, spicy, cayenne, and all that. So it's supposed to be really, smells up the whole house with the aroma. So that's kind of a major insult. Say that you made a curry and it smelled like hot water. Ouch. Anyway, did I mention Black Mirror before? Can I get 2 times? Two-time President-elect Donald Trump. 2 times for Black Mirror. They have an episode of Black Mirror that is almost totally workplace racism. Non-white employee, a British non-white employee no less, gets harassed for eating her food in the workplace. They make her go down in the dungeon. What is that? I think it was curry too. I think it was curry. They made her go down to this. They're like, if you're just going to eat a sandwich on white bread, you could sit up here with us white people and eat your food. You're going to eat all that. Down to the base. I can't get in my nose. That sort of thing. Does not get any better than tacky. And she said they fuss at her for that. I smell onions. Ew. Please. Now, I have noted in some workplaces, they will say, like fish, things that are really pungent, like can't eat no seafood, no fish. I don't know, curry might be there because curry does have a really powerful aroma. I just told you it's got all those spices and what have you in it. So I don't know. Some workplaces you might have to check to see if they have a policy about that, because they will say that, especially if you have like cubicles, cramped quarters. They might indeed have a policy about, eating really. And I'm a big advocate of, I don't want to eat around you all anyway. Even if I did have a whole wheat sandwich of almond butter, no aroma. Almond butter and bananas, no aroma. I toasted it at home. I would rather eat in my vehicle, eat outside if weather allows, like just depending on the arrangements and what's available. I don't want to eat around my coworkers. Even my non-white coworkers, to be truthful. Just, you never know what the people's energy is like. That impacts my eating experience. If I can, I like to use lunch as a time to recharge. Like even while I was researching in California, there would be days where I would not eat lunch. I would take maybe 10, 15 minutes to just step outside and quickly eat some trail mix, something like that. Even then, I would either step outside for those 10 minutes or get an area where I'm not around anyone, where you can just have some space, think, process, and then you can get back to work. I know some people work at their desk and all that. I totally get it, but just, if you can, it can be helpful. A little space. Let's see. Okay. I coughed, and I muted myself just so that I could complete my cough, and I accidentally disconnected my headphones, and then for some reason the audio didn't reconnect me, but got it together. Took me a few seconds. Much obliged. I think Lauren gave me the audio, and then the audio came back so I could hear you all briefly, but then I couldn't. My microphone was not being picked up for some reason. Wackiness through and through. Anyway, let me finish reading the email. Sorry that we got dislodged. Back to the email. All the soup. Can't have meat every day. Blah, blah, blah. I was eating my soup at the desk last week. Phoebe, who observes everything, commented to the non-white, non-black male seated next to me that she can... Oh, we got that part of it. Okay. The onions... Meanwhile, Shauna has been harassing the hell out of me, and inebriated Annie has been missing for weeks. Weeks. Now, I will say, headed into the holiday season, white absenteeism, I have seen where that can go bonkers. Like this period of time, like end of November, basically to like the middle of January. I mean... I've seen total ghost town where it might not just be inebriated Annie. It might be whole department, 5, 10, all that, you got to be here and work from here and all that. Man, I have seen some white people where they took almost the entire month of December off. Personal days and, whatever they had, PTO and all the rest of it. But, oh, man. It'll be everybody pulled an inebriated Annie and not showing up for nothing. Not doing the Zoom meetings or nothing. You have to come back and catch them in January. Like I said, it'll be the second week of January when they come back. I've seen that sort of thing be widespread. There have been times where it was like me and 4 people at the office. It'll be a department of 40 people having a good time for their and not being harassed for being gone. That they're not calling inebriated Annie. Where are you at? You think, did you get an approved? I bet, man, no. Let's see. Much obliged, person who wrote in. Email untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. If we have any suggestions, live time, or if you listen to the archives, with regards to if you're an entrepreneur, keep people from not paying, especially if you're going to do like an installment type of a thing. If you have any tips on, seeing it through to completion, that sort of thing, making sure that you get your money, people don't run off with your product or what have you, let us know. And then the tips as well for people, you work a job where you get an approved vacation, day off, whatever it is, and then they mess around and call you and pretend that they forgot that you were supposed to have that day off. If folks have any tips, does not picking up the phone, ways that you preempt, remind them conveniently the last day that you are physically in the office that, oh yeah, I got the, you could even do, let them know, and then do an email reminder the morning that you're not going to be there. So you told them in person, and then that email is scheduled for the morning. So that, like, if you're supposed to be out that Friday, they get it that Friday morning right when they come in. Like, bang, reminder, I'm out of the office. Or you could do 2 emails. So they get the one the day of, and then they get the reminder email that you're out that next day. Might do all 3 of those. Would you have any tips? Time and energy. Time and energy. If you have any tips on that one, we have a shiny donut for you. Har, 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 har. 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. We'll be here tomorrow. Normal time, compensatory call-in, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Catch up on what has transpired the last week. Jail bots, no. My experience with those, like, man, that has got to be wacky. You've got to go and beg for water, toilet paper from the jail bot. Yikes. But that's tomorrow. Compensatory call in 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Say it one more time. Sobriety would be best, especially this weekend. It counts any time under the system of white supremacy racism, but this weekend, it's cliche at this point. And it's cliche in lots of ways. Cliche in terms of arrests, and then cliche for accidents, where people are out driving, because you have lots of people who travel and all that, drive all those miles to go visit family and everything else, but people being intoxicated, out on the road, accidents, arrests, all of that. Sobriety would be best. And again, if you are going to go out, you got to go party, relatives, especially younger people, or it can be older people too. But if you got to go and do all of that, get to one spot and stay there. You do not want to be, well, we got to go this place and that place and bar hop, midnight, 11:30, 1, 2, 3. You do not want to be doing that under the system of white supremacy, and particularly not this weekend. It is asking for trouble. And even if it's not suspected racist with a badge and a gun, it might be other intoxicated motorists out on the road. That is not a good combination either. Especially if you are an inexperienced driver. Sobriety would be best. Our PSA, doing our part. Let's see. Other folks, commentary to share. Our caller at the courthouse in Florida should be with us. Let's see. Stories saved up while Gus T was out researching in California should be with us, sir.
Yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Good to hear you, Gus, and welcome back. Greetings to Gus, the host, listeners, and callers. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Gus, I was thinking about there was a black male that came into the courthouse, and he had on like an army uniform or like a hat where he was in the army. I guess he was like a veteran. And he shared with me and said that, he said, you know what? When I came in this time, they didn't say anything to me. And then he said, the last time I came in here, I wasn't wearing all of this, and they stopped me, and he said they harassed him. So I guess, the conclusion was he was a black male with the army hat on, army type of uniform or something, and the sheriffs, the bailiffs, didn't say anything this time around. So he learned that, well, you just got to play the game or something like that. So I didn't really know what that meant. And then he turned around and said, these people don't care about us. And another black person was sitting across the room from where I'm at, and she didn't really say anything, and he just walked out. And I just said, take care, and he said, see you later. So that happened last week, and there was a white, I think this was a white guy, because I just only heard his voice, so I'd never seen him. There was another customer. He was talking about how to sue somebody for defamation, a company or something like that, or a customer. I think it was an individual. So I was just trying to get more of an understanding of what he was looking to find out information about. So this guy, it says, well, I'll just have an example. Say that you have a business, and this one person goes out and says that I hate black people. So I said, okay, I suspect this person is a race soldier, white supremacist, and it just isn't true. And they're saying that you hate black people. Now he didn't say no other group. He said black people. And I just want to take them to court and see what kind of things I can get done. So I went and took it to this white person, the legal counsel, and another white person called this white person the damage control lady. I think I mentioned that a few weeks ago. So she said she would call this person back and take care of it, because we're supposed to hand off customers like that. We want to try to get into legal questions and things. So I know I remember mentioning something about asking her something else, and she answered the question, and I used that phrase, reading, it was like you read my mind, or some kind of expression I made. It was mainly that. And she was like, oh, I don't want to do that. That'll be scary. And I said, I understand. And the reason I said I understand, because I've been pointing out the racism and the injustice. And I think she was in an argument with another white person from a victim of racism, said that this guy said, well, it's not a black and a white thing. That's the word this white person used. And she responded saying, yes, it is. And, you know, I guess they were getting in some kind of argument about another black person bringing a notebook. And she walked from another courthouse 2 or 3 blocks up the street with an umbrella in the rain to come share some concerns with a notebook. So I guess she had some notes written down. So this was in retaliation to that, a response to that. So there was another customer incident where it was a customer over the phone, and this white person asked me, do we have, I guess, certain deeds from 1870 or something? And I was like, I don't recall it being back that far. And she said this person is saying it's connected to a plantation. So, and the way she said it, plantation, I just reacted in just a, I guess, normal standard way and just said that they would have to look up an individual name to get what would be closest to 1870, 1890, a 1900. But, you know, she just said plantation, and it just came out of nowhere. I guess maybe the person on the phone was a black person or a white person. I don't know. But, yeah, she mentioned plantation. And then another guy, that was a white man, he wore a hat, and it said rebel. It said rebel on it, and it had, of course, the Confederate flag on it. And I have 2 more I'd like to share. The white woman who used to be called the chaos coordinator was over in the other courthouse, and she had, and I shared this before, Gus, where it seemed like she'll be more comfortable sharing certain things that she won't say in front of the people where we are, like in the civil courthouse. So she said that she had been getting a lot of complaints about social media and employees and being online and posting while on the job. You're not supposed to post anything online, things like that. So an email went out, and I remember the exact date. It was on the 20th. So only one person closed their account. It was a Facebook account. So the email said, well, 70% of people, something like that, 70% of people like to be on social media or use social media, saying that Facebook is the most popular one, from what she was saying. And she tried to sound the same, but it was still different with how she vocalized her. It sounded like she was, from what I heard, that she was upset and angry about the complaints she's been getting, the HR lady. So the only person was a black person who got a lot of followers, things like that. And I think what led up to this was the election a couple weeks ago. Some things she posted. It is just something I wouldn't do, where she's saying, well, how can you support hate and making memes about slavery and selling slaves, things like that. And this is another black person. So, and I know for sure it's 2 people, or at least 3, that practiced the unjust networking and went and shared this to another white woman who was angry about it in another building. So that with some of the things that's been going on, especially with that social media part, where she just totally just canceled, deleted her page, and she's not on there anymore. But I have plenty of screenshots, and that's another thing this white woman said, that it's a quote unquote, it's a small world and people can collect screenshots and send me things, but there's a lot of racist, as I said before, clique members who post things, and what they tend to do is go to a private setting or whatever. But apparently it looks like it's people sending their things from them too, but they haven't deleted their page. Only a black person deleted her page. So those are the reports that I have for now, and thanks for allowing me to share.
Fascinating. Wow. You say you just got to play the game. The black brother. Much obliged to our caller at the courthouse. Sometimes you just got to play the game. I think Dr. Wells can say it's not a game. It is the global power system of white supremacy racism for the genetic survival of individuals who classify themselves as white. And that is no game. Or something close to that, I think. Black brother says I came in last time. They pressed the panic button. They got the batons. What are you doing in here, nigga? We'll kill you. I don't think he was the same one who said that I'm not going to suck no penis, but it was a bad experience. And he said he came in this time, and Veterans Day was 2 weeks ago. He came in with his military hat on and what have you, and he said they didn't say anything. They were nice to him this time. Now, they might have remembered him from last time, even though he had different clothing on. They might remember, like, oh, we beat that nigger down last time. I guess he'll behave this time. Maybe. Maybe this nigger's a veteran. Man, we should now, if he had said they came up and apologized to him, like, oh, sir, we so appreciate your service and the sacrifice that you made for this country and our rights and the state of Florida, and I just want to shake your hand and offer a robust apology on behalf of North Florida for the way that we treated. Now, if he had said that, I said, wow, right on. That is the power of your uniform. But that's not what we heard. It really could have been just what I said first. Oh, that's the nigger we beat down last time. He'll ease up on him this week. I hope not, but unless somebody said something, because I know what that looks like when white people want to get on there, oh man, it's Veterans Day, and I know what that looks like. Unless he said that he got that sort of treatment, even from some other black people, I don't know. And then he got from that, you just gotta know how to play the game. So, I don't, like he said he didn't know what that meant. Me either. So, should you have worn your military uniform last time? Then you would have played the game correctly and they wouldn't have harassed you? I don't know, like, if that was my honest conclusion, that I thought me wearing military paraphernalia, that somehow lessened my mistreatment in the system of white supremacy, I would wear military paraphernalia every day, especially if I was a veteran. Like, oh my God, I would sleep in my uniform. Like, oh man, because they break in your house, Brace soldiers, all that, say you raped somebody or stole something or both. So when I come in, they, whoa, this nigger is a veteran. Look at the pajamas. Dog tags or whatever else, like, it would be all the time. If I really thought that was true. But they got cases where they have like brutalized and lynched black people in uniform. So I have reason to suspect that that's not. Jackie Robinson, I told you I just was at UCLA. I got reason to suspect that might not be the case. But again, I too don't really know what "gotta play the game" means. So I might be confused. Let's see. He said the folks at the courthouse, I was so intrigued about he said the whole social media kerfuffle. And he said that they are saying, hey, we got people that are complaining and grousing about social media usage. Now, I immediately thought like, oh man, Black brother said he'd been collecting screenshots and all this for years, really, of all kinds of, they've been posting firearms and all kinds of what I would think, this might be a violation of professionalism. And then he said that people are reporting about both the content of what's being posted and people are posting during work hours. What? Come on. He's told us before where they got people that are using their mobile devices on the job. They got a policy about that. Now, maybe you can use the terminals that they got at the courthouse for social media. That to me would be all kinds of out of this world incorrect, and just I would not ever log on to my social media at a workplace computer. I would just assume my whole account is compromised and all of that. Extraordinarily bad idea. That could be happening, but I mean, a lot of times they have blockers so that you can't access that sort of a site on a workplace terminal. It's a government computer, I would think, at least local, right? So I'm going to assume that these people are using their mobile device to post on social media at work. Like, what in the... Come on now. Really. Addiction, have some professionalism. Post when you get home. And someone might see you put it. Are you on Instagram you're not even supposed to be on your phone. You're not even supposed to be on your phone. Come on. Now, he said it seemed like some of this was targeted in terms of you got a black person who had a lot of followers and had been posting about the election. I cannot stress enough the great Dr. Kamal Kamban, late passed away this year. He said, I would recommend that you not be on social media, especially for workplace purposes. You're trying to get a job, you're interviewing, you want to keep the job that you have. I would not do a whole lot of I'm on social media, hanging out, posting away for this type of scenario. Posting about the election, memes about slavery, and these white people say that some of these are the white people that were posting firearms, and all that posting had the one talking about my true self, and it was a picture of Satan. Now, come on. You can post that sort of content, and that's supposed to be cool and everything. Then a black person posts something about slavery. Oh, man. Oh, it's the worst thing ever. We got to do something about this. New policy, new rule, new rule. Come on now. Come on. Now, see, it even shows now, what is the priority here? Black person trying to address racism, white supremacy, VGQ, victims guaranteed qualified. It's not. He literally told us about these white women going out posing with firearms. That's not, hey, red flag. They got people coming in office places and shooting up and, get to that. Yeah. Black person posting about slavery. People send me things. I know. What's dang, I bet people send you to see that's Voltron effect too. See, unjust networking, all of it. All of this to target a black person. Mostly. That's what it's in. I'm even still come back to, does the black person, do we think she posts while she's at work too? Is she doing this while she's, her feet up in her footies from her bedroom when she's at home? Like she's supposed to have free speech and we're doing all this, or do we think she's doing this while she's, on the job in the back of the courthouse? Man, come on. He said the fella that came in or called or what have you is seeking legal counsel about what to do if I say I hate black people. He didn't even say all of non-white people or people of color. I hate black people. I even thought, like, if somebody calls or comes to the courthouse and says that, I thought they had a policy, like, if you think someone is being racist or, derogatory to you, you can discontinue. Like, hey, I don't think you're behaving in a professional manner, and I'm going to discontinue. Like, is that one? Like, do we have to seriously engage with this? Like, He said they switched it over to people that do legal matters. Like, are you wasting time and energy practicing racism, hating black people, all this? Like, really? Anywho, he said the fellow with the rebel hat, they had the images, I guess, some of them with wearing the rebel hat and all of that. It reminded me while I was in California, Cara Walker, the exhibit at the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. She, California native, she had the one art exhibit with a white puppet and had a Border Patrol hat. I asked her about this puppet, and she said the hat, she saw this while she was in Georgia, right north of Florida, and it had Border Patrol on the hat, and she said she had to purchase it, and it kind of matched where they were in Georgia and the type of, I guess, suspected racists who were around who would want a hat of that nature that said Border Patrol. I took a picture of it. I posted it online. But it reminded me, she said the images or what have you with the rebel hat reminded me of that. Apparently that is not cause for concern, and that's what the Florida state flag looks like. The rebel flag had that pointed out some years ago. Let's see. He said the person that called in and wanted to know the archive records, and does it go back to the 19th century for the plantation? He said, I don't think it goes back that far. You might have to research by name and all that. If this was a black person who was doing this, bravo to them. Hey, doing some research is a billion times better than watching TV, Netflix, Hulu, all of it, if it was someone classified as black. But right, that's why I said, man, if I was at the courthouse, I would get fired. Like, it wouldn't matter what my job was. If I was judge, custodial staff, cafeteria, whatever, I would be trying to sneak away to the archives. Like, what do they have? Like, which plantation are you looking for? Let's see if we can find something. Like, man, come on. White man, especially after what I've seen in California, like, white people stockpile everything. They might have crates of information. Whoever she was looking for, the person that called in about the 1870 plantation, they might have crates and boxes of information, all about that property, plantation, who owned it, how many Negroes were there, everything. Man, white people are not ignorant about racism, not at all. Was this over the phone with the person called about the plantation, or did they come in physically to the courthouse?
It was a white woman that was on the phone with the person, and then another white woman asked me about it and said that someone was on the phone asking about a deed, a property deed, about a plantation, and and then how she was talking about it. I guess she didn't know anything about it herself. So I think it could be connected to another website, but I didn't share that website because I thought it might be something different. So yeah, sir, that's what it was mainly about. She said it was for a plantation.
Fascinating. I don't know who the person was. If it was a white person, I guess, to be expected and, whatever. Like, might be her ancestors and grandfather and grandmother who, owned the plantation. Who knows? But if it was a non-white person, some black people doing research about Georgia history and the system of white supremacy, racism, bravo for them. Hopefully they can go into the courthouse, or maybe they can even go and do some, or maybe they can do both. Maybe they can go to where the property is and do some research and then come to the courthouse as well and do some studying about all that, go down in the archives and, get all their questions answered. But man, that is wacky. So I can't emphasize enough, though, with the social media. One, you should be doing some of what our caller has talked about in terms of seeing what your white coworkers, what are they posting about? What did they have to say about the election? What sort of memes were they posting during election season? That might be worth a screenshot or two. And then, hey, if you don't have to be on social media, you could have a social media account that you don't even use except to check the cows. I don't post, I don't meme, I don't name call. I just check when the cows is airing. What is Gus T up to? Oh, okay, that's about it. I don't do nothing else. But if you're on social media, I said I wouldn't be on there under my legal name. I would not be homies with any of my workplace friends, white, non-white. I would not be easy to find. Really, it might even be private if I'm going to do all of that, at all. But it's not going to be something where people that I work with, and I'm not using my social media in the workplace, certainly not on their device, but even on my machine. I'm not checking it, posting while I'm at work. Come on now. Asking to be fired. And then the worst would really be, oh, I see you on IG. What's your handle? Ugh. That's anybody. I wouldn't care. That's somebody classified as black, white. Ugh. Serious, man. Like, major codes in the world. These are not your homies. These are not your friends. None of them. None of them. Even if they are classified as black. Get in trouble about what they seen they think you posted on social media in the workplace. Any hoodles. Much obliged, our caller at the courthouse in Florida. I knew you'd have some goodies saved up over all of that time. Did we miss anybody? Suggestions, tips? Any of our listeners? Again, you can always write them down and share for next Thursday. She'll be back in our regular routine now that I have escaped California. Did we miss anyone? Thoughts, commentary to share? Grand. We will be here on Saturday, usual time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll catch up on what has transpired over the past week or so, maybe even some of what we missed a little bit while Gus T was down in California. But normal time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, as we motor on through the so-called holiday weekend. I will say that I did appreciate how quiet it has been, like the last day and a half, because so much stuff is closed down and, all the rest of it. So it has been really quiet. I took a walk around the block, or I guess further than that. Took a nice walk in the neighborhood, I'll say, so-called, and quiet. Reminded me of Stanford slightly, but anyway, get some exercise. Don't sit around. Contrary to what we heard, do not sit around eating apple cider donuts all day long on top of the chitlins and apple pie and pumpkin pie and everything else. Get some exercise Eva said, Gus, what did you eat today? I had my peanut butter strawberry banana smoothie right as we got ready to broadcast. I had a little bit of leftover lasagna that I made, stovetop cast iron skillet lasagna with kale and portobello mushrooms, vegan cheese, of course. And I had vegan eggnog ice cream on top of vegan squash pie. That was amazing. Heated, of course, the pie. I got vegan ice cream, local eggnog vegan ice cream. They don't even have that. That's one of the seasonal batches that they only have for like 3 weeks. You can only get that like once a year, so that one of the times I will go get local ice cream. Out of this world. And I got the pie from California and the ice cream here, so it's like the best of both California and Seattle. But that's what I had to eat. And then for dinner, pad thai. Vegan tofu that I'm making, of course. Yummy eats with lots of vegetables, mushrooms, carrots, broccoli, bean sprouts. Lots of vegetables. That's what it, not donuts all day long and chitlins. Geminis. We'll be here tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Sobriety would be best. Less donuts. Creator, we ask that you remind us to be patient with other black people victims of white supremacy, especially around the holidays. We ask that you remind us to be patient with ourselves. Help us to demonstrate the highest levels of black self-respect at all times, in all places, each and every time we are in contact with another black person. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. No name-calling black people. No gossiping. No throwaway offspring. There will be sobriety checkpoints through Monday. Sobriety would be best. Cal signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. No problem. You're a victim. I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.